Hello, Facebook family. It is 9 o'clock on the dot. You know, we started 9 o'clock on the dot, and man, I wish you could have been here for the pre-show. Oh man, we've had some incredible conversation with the living legends, the Dr. Dan Powell. I mean, a living legend. Then brothers Jade Miller, man, master educator. I mean, educational consultant, former principal at Dunbar High School. I mean, just an incredible guy. And then Dr. McKinley Jackson, pastor of the Samaria Baptist Church, moderator, vice president of the Baptist Ministers Union. Oh man, he's got so many titles, I can't name them all. And then the master educator, Mr. Stephen Johnson. I mean, retired administrator. Now he's coaching teachers. He coaches my son, Edwin. He is training teachers how to be teachers. And then the legend, Dr. Shirley Knox Benton. Hey, listen, man, y'all tell everybody to sign in. Y'all need to hear this panel tonight. These are the experts. That's why I called it. And so last week last Thursday, I was substitute teaching over at Christine Moss Elementary School when the word came down. The word came down that the state was going to come in and take over Fort Worth Independent School District. And so the word had been out that it could happen, but I don't know that anyone expected that it would happen so fast, but it did. And so here we are. There's so much that we don't know. I mean, so much we don't know. But again, I assembled this expert panel to talk about what they did as educators that were, things that were tried and true. I mean, when I talk about the creme de la creme of educators in Fort Worth, I don't know about any other district. I'm a product of Fort Worth ISD, ODY High School. I went to Kirkpatrick 1 year, Morningside 1 year, J.P. Moore Elementary 1 year. I went to Rosemont and then ODY. And so I'm a product of Fort Worth ISD, and I know what these people have done to help educate our community. Dr. Benton played us a clip of her ceremony a couple of weeks ago, and someone verified that this district has produced doctors, lawyers, educators, engineers. And so when you say that data has shown that we've failed the children, what data has also shown, and history has also shown, that we've helped a lot of people. And Stephen Johnson, who is a principal at ODY High School, each week he's posting on Facebook some of his students that he helped to graduate from high school. And so each of these individuals have played an important part in the lives of so many people. And so, Stephen Johnson, we're going to start with you. One part of education is having good educators. When you were in the district and you were hiring people to work at ODY at Forest Oak, and then when you became a director, when you looked at people to hire, I mean, what were you looking for?
Okay, Dr. Nixon, one of the things I was looking for is the characteristics of a teacher, and one that I can sense that they had a caring spirit, and I can also sense that they had the patience to be able to be in a classroom full of students who could be challenging, because you have to have teachers who have patience. You have to have teachers who have that caring spirit. And be honest about it, that's not an easy task for us trying to find those teachers with those characteristics. You know, some they can play that game until they get into that classroom, and you can be shocked because the persons you thought that they definitely was not that particular person. But I'm always looking for a caring spirit and one that has the patience to be in front of students.
Hmm. And as an administrator, how did you support those teachers?
We did a lot of different things for us, try to get them to the point they need to be. We visited schools that look like us that were being successful. We traveled to different districts to try to not to rewrite the book, but if they were doing things that because the campuses actually look like us, went to campuses that actually look like us that were being successful. So we had a chance to question them about the things that they were doing and find out. And we took some of those things back to our campuses and applied them on our campuses, which will help us to achieve the success that we had.
Okay. And so one of the things you guys that you're going to hear throughout the evening, panelists, is community support, because I know for a fact that no matter what is done in the schools, there's got to be that community support undergirding everything that happens. And so what kind of community support, I'm still with you, Brother Stephen, what kind of community support did you have when you worked at the various schools?
Well, I know when I was at Forest Oak, we had a grant which actually we had an opportunity to get the community out. One opportunity we had where they came in and kind of did some things around the school for its beautification. When I was at Wyatt, we had the community come out and check students' grades. Well, when I say check student grade, it was report card day. And they actually, those kids had an opportunity to come up to a table, share their grades with different individuals. In the meantime, there was an opportunity to have some discussions around some, I guess, coaching discussions.
Mhm.
Allow the kids to see what they can do for us better in grades, and also have some kids got some incentive for the grades that they had. We also had an opportunity to invite pastors in. We had a pastor's breakfast to invite the pastors in so we can share our vision, what we have for the campus, and allow the pastors to see how they can fit in for us working with us. Pastor Crane, he came in
Mhm.
during my last couple of years and helped develop a mentorship program with some of the young men that I had on campus. He
Yeah.
was definitely faithful to that task. We had different activities we had for those young people. Some of the young people I'm still connected with today. I believe one of the young people, when I was talking to him, he said he was going to Pastor Crane's church. I said, you probably don't remember this, but Pastor Crane was one who was mentoring you when you was at the high school, and which I
Mhm.
thought was really interesting. So,
Right, right.
but those are some of the things that we did at Wyatt to bring the community in for support.
And so I read an article today. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was made reference to uh, the state taking over the district, but it's the community that is needed for them to be successful. Did anyone see that article?
Um, I actually saw the headline. I didn't get a chance to read it, and
Okay.
literally prior to reading it, and I know we got a pastor here on the call, Dr. McKinley Jackson. I had this brain spurt uh, where I ended up doing AI research, and I noticed that we have over 119 churches just in the 76119 community, just in the 76119 community. One of the things that I was thinking about, what if the churches would, I noticed, it would be a miracle, Dr. Jackson, if the churches could come together and pool their money so that we have, I believe, 10 elementary schools that are in the 76119 community. If the churches could come together, pool their money, and allow the campus uh, staff to come up with a proposal that they could use the money to help improve. For me, primary education is a big part of when we're talking about reading. We need to, as much as possible, provide support in the primary area. If the schools can come up with maybe a tutoring program that would be approved by, lack of a better word, a board that will be responsible for the money, but there should be no administrative costs if the churches decide to pool their money. But like I said, this will be a miracle if something like that happened, where all the churches in the 76119 chose to come together for schools to try to help schools. And it's a different thing when you start putting your money. Money talks.
Right.
Money talks. When you start putting money together, then you're talking about really having an impact on the community, which would allow the principals to be able to develop programs outside of what the district is asking them to do, to be able to bring some additional staff in that they can't have because there's a shortage in Title I funds, there's a shortage in district funds. This will be additional resources that the campuses could use to bring in extra tutors, extra reading tutors to help our young people in reading. Like I said, that's for us to be able to do something like that. That would be a miracle, a miracle for something like that to go off.
So Brother Steve, Dr. Jackson and I had a pre-show last night. He had me on the phone almost 2 hours. And we actually talked about what you just talked about. Dr.
Wow.
Jackson, go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what you're asking for, I don't think it's going to necessarily be a miracle because it's going to actually come down to that. I was speaking in Houston over the weekend and happened to sit down uh, with a former educator whose daughter is teaching in the Houston ISD. And of course, we know that the Houston ISD has been taken over by the state, uh, going on their third year. And it's absolutely crushing what the state has come in and done. They have just, you think there's shortage in funding now. When they get through gutting that budget, it's going to be worse. And so we have Houston to look at. They've taken money out of the ISD in Houston, and they're putting money more toward privatization. Private schools for you know uh, those for the haves. You know, and then they're pooling money more so toward charter schools, and they're just sucking the budget dry for the independent school district, and it hurt me. People who in administration, people who worked hard in education, that have become experts in what they do. They no longer have the money to pay their salaries. And like they told us, that those $90,000, $100,000 salaries are gone. So as a result, they have administrative people that are leaving, teachers that are leaving, and we're forsaking the kids. And so I was just telling Dr. Glenn on last night, the church and the community, we're going to have to step up and help our kids. It all started with the church, and I was telling him some history really behind what Sunday school was about. Coming out of slavery, it was to help teach the kids and teach everybody how to read and stuff like that. So I'm on board with whatever you feel that it takes, because I come from a background of educators. My mother was a school teacher. My aunt, school teacher, went on to be get her doctorate in education, went on to be a superintendent. My grandmother, who went to school with Martin Luther King. My mother went to Spelman. Martin Luther King went to Morehouse. My grandmother set the pace. She said, "Son, in my day, the highest a black woman could go was a master's." So she had the highest degree that a black woman who was an educator could have. And she was pretty much like the uh, regional superintendent in her area up in Georgia. So I understand the importance of education, and it's sad that we have kids that are in high school that's reading on the third grade level. So it might, you might consider it a miracle, but it's a miracle that's definitely becoming a reality, something that we must address. We got to address. So uh, perhaps after this show, we can get together. I can pull some pastors together in on the east side, and whatever we need to do, we can start working toward that.
All right. Hey, listen, we're gonna make that happen, Dr. Jackson and Brother Stephen. Hey, listen, guys, you know what? We've got the legend on with us, Dr. Dan Powell, the legend. And so, you know what? I don't know if y'all even know this, Dr. Benton. I know you probably remember this because you were an administrator back then. In 1989, we were sitting in the school, Fort Worth ISD convocation. I saw Dr. Powell rush from the stage. When we got home, we didn't know why he rushed from the stage. He almost ran off the stage. Later, when we got home that evening, we found out that a teacher had been killed over at Glen Park Elementary School. And from then on, I took notice of Dr. Dan Powell. I wanted to know who this guy was. Throughout the district, his name rang throughout the district. Dr. Powell was in the forefront of making major decisions. He just told me he closed my elementary school, J.P. Moore. But Dr. Dan Powell, I knew this guy was a leader. I mean, I didn't really have a whole lot of reference. But then he became the superintendent at Everman School District. Then he became the superintendent at Crowley School District. He's worked with all communities, the Black community, the white community, the Hispanic community. Dan Powell is a proven leader. And so I want to hear from the legend, Dr. Dan Powell, who served three of the major school districts here in Tarrant County. And so Dr. Powell, the state is taking over the largest school district in Tarrant County. I mean, what should we be thinking? I mean, what are your thoughts? What is your input on that issue?
Well, I think it's some part of the tragedy in that we've got lots of people who are working their tails off every day, morning to the evening, to try to serve the needs of kids, and a lot of children come from homes where their mother and father, if they were lucky enough to have both at home, are working hard just to support the family and put food on the table. And in that kind of a situation, the students are going to have a hard time getting the attention they need, the guidance they need, the time they need from adults to be able to achieve at high levels. And the best of our teachers are doing that every day and getting the best out of the students. But those tests, when they come once a year, they're measuring all kinds of things. Part of it is we have a lot of kids coming from food deserts that just plain aren't getting the nutrition that they need every day. And it's hard to pay attention to a teacher when you've got things like that going on. And it's we've got some great teachers that are having all their kids achieve at high levels despite whatever they have to deal with. But when the state decides to take over a school district, it's a punitive measure. And they start making decisions that have been local decisions. And TA is a bureaucracy. It's the government agency. And whenever they start taking over school districts, uh, they have to find some good people to lead it. And my argument is that we've got some good people in Fort Worth ISD. We haven't had the student achievement that we needed, uh, but we've got a lot of people that are working hard at it. And now that they're finally getting attention, I think that we might be able to rally the community support to take care of our kids more effectively than we have in the past. But I'm hopeful that they will keep the local leadership. I think the young lady who's interim superintendent now has done that now, I think, for 3 times. And she's steady at the wheel. She seems to know what she's doing and have the support of the school board. So uh, I'd hate for them to go through a transition in leadership like that yet again.
So Dr. Powell and Dr. Benton, you can chime in on this too. Why is academia so impatient? I was talking to a teacher today, and I told her of a story of a friend of mine that he said that his teacher told him, one of his teachers told him that she recommended that he not go to college because he was not college material, because he was slow with learning. You know, he wasn't learning as fast as everyone else. And, you know, at the end of the 6 weeks, his grades were not necessarily where everyone's else grades were. And so she said, well, you know, you may want to go ahead and learn a trade because you probably won't be successful in college. And this gentleman has a PhD now. And, you know, academia works on 6-week cycles. I mean, you know, and you all know this, the first 6 weeks, the second 6 weeks, the sixth 6 weeks. And we know school is over with, you know, at the end of the six weeks. And if you did not meet the measurement, you know, by the end of the six weeks, then there's a problem with you. You know, you're not learning. Or is it that you're not learning as fast as academia would like? And so can you all address that issue of academia and the impatience of getting kids moved along fast?
Well, number one, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Number one, that's number one. It takes a whole village. And from experience, I'll tell you that we have all of the resources that we need right here in Fort Worth ISD with people who are retired and for people who are working.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you take one child at a time. You can't put them all in the same. They're not going to learn the same. I heard Stephen talk earlier about the pastors and all. So what I did personally, first I called in the stakeholders in the community. And I had a group called the PPP, parents, preachers, and principals. Mm. We met once a month in the pyramid. I knew that we had a lot of churches in this area, and I tried at first to visit all of the churches, and my husband said to me one day, said, I don't know how you're going to do that. So that's how I came up with the PPP, because the preachers were the mouthpiece for me in the community. Mm-hmm. And when they would come and hear what we had to share in our building, then they could take it back. And then we had the PTA, of course, the parents. You've got to involve all of the people. You got to, the stakeholders. You just from the community, and then of course you got to get in there with your teachers and give them full support. And I don't know that I've had an experience of telling any of mine that you might not go to college because you don't have this. They had it in their minds that they could do anything they set their minds to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you got to do. And with the people that we have here now in our district, and with the retired people that we have, all we need to do right now is get around that superintendent that we have now, give her all of the support that she needs. And when I hear about all of this reapplying and all, she's only been there a while. Let's give her a chance. And we got to do what we need to do, but it takes everybody. Now, one of the other things that I would do, we're talking about hiring teachers and all, and for them to have the feel for your building with your children. I had a video that I would share whenever I interviewed my teachers. And what I would do is I had taken a picture of the community and all the areas where my children came from. And I could read the vibes of those people that I interviewed by looking at that video. Not only that, I would give the faculty a tour of the community. So you have to go deep within and get our children where they are. It's a mindset. Now they're talking about putting the 10 Commandments on the wall. Well, in my building, not only do we have the 10 Commandments, but we didn't. That was not being there. But I'm thinking, I had the test scores, all the data on the wall. The children could see it every day. They knew where they stood. It's a daily thing. It's a one-on-one thing. So academia, these children, and give them the confidence to do. And that's what we need. People getting in there, rolling up their sleeves and doing what they need to do. All of this state takeover and all of that. When we have resources right here, I'm looking at 6 people. I'm looking at you. And I can go down the line, and and first of all, you can't have a buddy plan. You cannot have a buddy plan when you operate in a school. And I know in my situation, there were some people that didn't like me, and probably I didn't worry about not liking them. I didn't have time for that popularity. But if they had what I needed, that's what we did. You cannot have a body plan from the district in their building. You got to have people that have a heart for these young people and do the best they can. Now, I hope I answered some of your questions.
You did.
It's not a big, it's simple. Just bring in everybody, bring in the parents, the preachers, the teachers, let's get them together. And once a month or every quarter, I had a quarterly meeting and brought in my community people. And I would let my young people be the facilitators. They would tell what was going on in the school. And in my last years of being a principal, I was really showing up. I was a facilitator. I was just there, and we stressed find a womanhood. You have to get the mind right. We stress find a womanhood, find a manhood. We had, whenever people came to visit, those were the people that would share over our buildings. And not only in my faculty meetings, I didn't just have the faculty, I had the custodial staff, I had the office staff, I had the food area dietitians. They had to hear the same thing. And that's where we are. We're divided. We've got to hear the same thing. It's a mind thing. And get in there with those children and do the very best. Give it all. Just give it your all. No popularity contest. Nobody plan. But just keeping it very simple. And all we need to do right now is get with the superintendent we have now, wrap ourselves around her and pull in from every community and stop saying this school is that school. Whatever's working at the other school, let's get it to work over here.
Right.
You know, there is no need for us to, if that school was 5 years ago, low performing, why did we wait so long?
Right.
We should have jumped on it right then.
Right.
And let it just go and go and go and go. Well, my goodness, what do you expect? And now the whole district has to suffer?
Right.
It's simple, you all. It's just getting on the same page. On the same page.
All right. Mr. Sajay, we've got to hear from you, man. You're an educational consultant. You work in Fort Worth. ISD and other districts, so you have a great perspective of what's going on in education. Let's hear from you.
I don't know how I can follow that. There's a saying to say we stand on the shoulders of giants, and sometimes it feels like we're
Yeah.
still underwater. And I think that's how my colleague Karen Mullen is feeling now, standing on the shoulders of giants and still feeling underwater because, you know, I think I think I think what's being said though is understanding that there is a complexity associated with educating our kids, our youth. They are brilliant. They are enough. They are capable, and there's an added complexity due to no fault of their own or their families, right? It takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes one to educate a child, as has been echoed here tonight. I say, where is the village? There's a lot of people who have opinions and who want to, make Facebook posts now about the state of the schools, but have not been present, have not stepped foot in a school. And I'll say this: not everyone who went to school, going to school, does not qualify you to give an opinion of how to teach and how to facilitate learning. There are years of experience and credentialing and education and just heart work as well as hard work that educators invest themselves in to ensure that they master their craft. So I'll say that it's a lot of people with conversations um, who have never stepped foot in the classroom or school, right? The second thing I'll say is there's nothing wrong with our children. There's nothing wrong with our communities. There's systemic inequities and systemic design that are perpetuating the status quo, right? And to really look at the validity of the takeover, you have to look at the validity of the assessment that our students are taking. And I'm not about making excuses, right? I think that the assessment and the rules are the rules, and we need to learn the rules of the game and play them better than everybody else. But I think to the sentiments that have been echoed here, it takes time, it takes community, it takes a village, it takes investment. Increasing the goals and increasing the bar is akin to saying, I want to lose weight, and you step on the scale every single day, but then you don't do anything other than step on the scale every day. And I think testing our kids every day or every year is a snapshot, it's a moment in time. But testing and testing and testing without the appropriate inputs to influence the outcomes is a fallacy. And I think it's a lot of bureaucracy. I think it's a lot of I think it's a lot of empty rhetoric and empty promises. And it's a whole bunch of people who critique the teachers who are given their life. And here's a new flash. There's not a lot of people signing up to be the superintendent of Fort Worth ISD. That's the best kept secret. So we want to go through these processes and go through different superintendents and different school leaders and get rid of teachers. When we talked about earlier during the pre-call, the number of vacancies that exist. Let's talk about the real issues. Let's talk about the pride of the profession and why do we have so many vacancies. Let's talk about the support we give. Let's talk about Stephen Johnson, who was my executive director when I was principal at Dunbar. Let's talk about the financial investment we provide to schools, juxtaposition to the money we're pouring into other entities, right? Let's talk about the real talk. Let's talk about economic and financial investment. Let's talk about support. Let's talk about uplifting. Teachers used to be the heroes of our organization, of our world, of our communities. Let's talk about the deterioration of the neighborhoods and how we define community, the institutions of influence, right? The church, the school, and the family. Let's talk about the systemic issues that are impacting our status quo. We have to look at this thing holistically. We can't look at this moment in time, this window, and then paint with a broad brush and make a declaration when we've never been a part of it. We don't understand the social and geopolitical context associated with the policies that are created that govern our schools. I think we also need to lead and need to partner with grace and understanding. And I think there's a lot of critiquing and there's a lot of opinionating without really taking the time to understand that these educators are giving their life and their souls and taking from their family to love on somebody else's kids. And to continue here that it's not enough is disenchanting, and it creates disillusionment, which is why people exit the profession.
There are multi-layers to this. So for 21 years, I worked as a job developer, Section 3 coordinator with Fort Worth Housing. So I basically help people find jobs. That's what I did. And so I sat on several committees and worked with various organizations in workforce development. And so in workforce development, I know for a fact when companies decide where they're going to go to, they look at living conditions, and they also look at workforce. I mean, who's prepared for the workforce? Who's ready to go? Who can we hire? And so when companies come in, they come in asking questions. Do we have and this is me not agreeing with it so much, but just kind of discussing it, because our children are more than a workforce. And sometimes we're trying to prepare them for a workforce, when in fact they are people, that they are the community, they are individuals with feelings, not people that are just going to go to work. And so when we're looking at students to train them to get ready to go to work, I mean, come on, guys, they're more than that. And so when I see people like Dr. Benton, who went over and beyond, Sajay, Stephen Johnson, Dr. McKinley Jackson, and then Dr. Powell, who's led 3 major school districts, it's bigger than us getting children ready for a workforce, but it's also getting them ready holistically for life. Whether they go and work at a corporation, we need to teach them how to be caring people. Today, at the school I subbed at, I told a little boy, I said, you need to stop lying. I watched him do something and he said he didn't do it. Well, I watched you do it. Then he came back and did something else and lied about it. Well, you know what? No, son. Yeah, I know you need to learn how to read and write, but you need to learn how to stop lying too, And I'm going to try to model the way for you, so you can deal with that part, because I don't care how academic astute you may become. If you are a liar, if you are a person that we cannot trust, then yeah, we've educated you, but we've also done a disservice if we also didn't look at the whole man. Pastor Jackson, you preach to people every Sunday about morals, godly morals, or just morals in general. Dr. Powell, just watching your leadership over the years, I watched you lead, and so, people are watching us, they're listening to us, but they're also watching us. And so I think when we're talking about education, it's more than the academic side. And so when the state says they're going to come and take over our schools, okay, and so what are you taking over? Are you just coming in to make sure our test scores are good? Dr. Powell, I mean, what is your perspective on the whole aspect of education, not just the academic side?
Well, I think my wife, who was a teacher, and I were talking about this earlier today. We've got a generation of kids that spent a year at home with a computer without being able to be with their teachers and their schoolmates, and without their parents and so forth, because their parents were working. So we lost a year to COVID, and so when you're working really hard to catch kids up and to give them the foundation they need, and then you lose a year, uh, you it's going to be slower going, and so we're still catching up from that. And you can see that I saw today in the Fort Worth report, uh, the gap between state test scores and local test scores in Fort Worth ISD that happened during that period of time, uh, 2020, when COVID was there. We just couldn't reach the kids as well as we needed to, and we have to redouble our efforts now because part of that foundation wasn't laid during that period. And it may be that there were people with resources and people that were taking care of that business at home, and then there are other kids who slipped through the cracks. And we're still playing catch up on that. That's no excuse for scores. It's simply that it's a day in and day out business, and training teachers, supporting teachers, guiding people, and uh, it's a tough job, but I think that we have the resources in Fort Worth to do that. I think we have the resources in Fort Worth to do that on our own, and I look forward to seeing the leadership in Fort Worth ISD energized around that task rather than bringing in somebody who doesn't own the outcomes of the school district.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you have to be, I want to come back and say, we have to be firm, fair, and consistent. And with our teachers, we got to get them feeling good so that they can pass it on to the children. We got to give them support.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
A lot of things I would do, I guess, unorthodox, and sometimes I spend my own money, but some days I would just see a teacher, and this particular day I might go in and take over that class for a while. Support, let them know I'm there, and especially during testing time, you know how and that can go, it could 3 days or whatever it takes. Even the testing coordinator, I would take it on myself to give that, all right now, go and you can have a spa day.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to first, if we get the teachers feeling good about themselves, don't you know that'll pass on to those children?
Sure.
We only have one time with these children, and we need to give it all we have. And if we get in there and get support with these children with discipline, and that's the biggie. Get with these parents, and never shall forget when I received $10,000 for the school, and they gave me $5 that I didn't even know I was going to get. So I knew up in my community some retirees. So what I did, I came up and asked them. I said, when it's tax time, let me have a little money. And believe it or not, we raised $60,000.
Wow.
Neighbors, and we had a reading program for the 9th grade students. They had a little pre-test and a post-test for 4 weeks that summer. The parents had to come to school with those children, and we paid those children like $4 an hour. They had got a little subscription from the Fort Worth Star Telegram. They could purchase a book, and we had a reading program. And with the money that we got from this community, that particular year, $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to get in there, and as I said over and over again, it starts from the top, and we got to, behind the desk won't get it. We got to get in there with those teachers and give them the support they have, get them to feeling good. And I'm telling you, give them a day off and let them come back. Let's see what they'll do for you. That's where it is. It's with our teachers giving them support, and when they feel good.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna do their best, and they're gonna know you're there with them, in and out. Just in and out. I was not an office person, not until after 4 o'clock. I was busy all day long, in and out of those classrooms. When I had faculty meetings, I would have the teachers to share. I said, "All right, tell them what you did." It wasn't an isolated thing. It was across the board, and it's just, I keep saying, it's simple. And you got people right here in Fort Worth. If you do this very thing, if you listen to us and stop having all these plans of these buddies, I keep talking about that buddy plan. You can't have it. You cannot have a buddy plan working with these children. And that I'll forever stay on my soapbox about that. You've got to be visible. You got to be visible. in the classroom or wherever they're going, sometimes after school, ride the bus, whatever you're doing, you got to be there. It's a simple thing. It could be just as, it was easy for me. It was easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
but you got to, that's the first thing. That's where we are. We're talking about losing teachers. We've got to give the teachers support so that they can help our children. We only have them only just for a little while. And why
Mm-hmm.
not? Why not?
So Stephen Johnson, I worked with a principal, and man, I wanted to ignore her because she just kept singing your praises. She just kept Stephen Johnson. Oh my God, I just got sick and tired of hearing about Stephen Johnson. She said that you were the best executive director she ever had. Um, and so Jade, you said that Stephen was your executive director. Now, what was so great about Stephen Johnson?
Oh yeah, payback time. So now let me tell you, he was first of all, he's a man of God. I know we're
Yeah,
talking about
there
school of
we go.
education and deacon at the church, humble servant. He's not the type of guy that he hates this right now. I can tell you. Anytime we will be having something
Oh,
and
I
I
know.
would introduce my boss, he's like, no, it ain't about me. It's about you, the principal. I know, but you the guy to support the principal. And so what I will say is that the leader of the leaders have to lead by example, and that's what he did, right? Not a lot of glitz and glam. It was real simple.
No,
The in and out. What are you doing? What are you playing? You talk to them instead of some nowadays people think leadership is talking at people or talking.
no.
He who talketh the most leadeth the less. And so it was tell me your plan. Tell me how you gonna get there. Tell me what the data shows. All right, now this is what I'm getting from up above. Now I need you yada yada yada, and then I need you to do and then he would come back and he would follow up. Even if it was 5 minutes, it would pop up. Most importantly, he would say, "What do you need? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna get there? What do you need?" No, we can't do that. We can't do this. We can't do that. Well, I'm gonna do this, and I was unorthodox as well, right? And I didn't. I didn't. I was able to. I would not have been as um, successful in cultivating community engagement and doing some of the things to taper the disciplinary issues that we were having if I didn't have the ability and the latitude to be able to do that. And that's what Stephen Johnson provided. Because the person closest to the problem oftentimes has a solution.
Yeah,
However, sometimes they can't see the forest from the trees, so they have to be reminded of what the milestones are. And so I think he was one who set the appropriate conditions for success by clearly establishing the milestones and the determinants of, I mean, not the determinants of success, but the milestones and the definition of success. And then it was on me to figure out how I was going to accomplish that. And I had the latitude to be able to do that. And I did so unapologetically and boldly, and sometimes I tiptoed on that line of policy for my community because I needed to ensure that we were no nonsense from teachers or students. And I think it's really about, you don't level the bar. Excellence is the expectation, not the exception. And then you have to love them to that level of expectation. We're
exactly.
not advocating the lowering of the bar. We're advocating that if you've identified that the gap is that pronounced and that significant, then how might you make the investment to allow the people who are in the trenches to fill that gap? It's not about lowering the expectations. It's not about doing ring around the roses with principals and teachers. It's about the need is more pronounced for whatever reason. And we have to make sure we give the investment to allow for the filling of that gap and then beyond. And that's, I think, what leadership is. It's the bridge between the reality and the vision. And how might we think differently about what we do and how we do it to actualize the vision?
Dr. Powell, people, for whatever reason, they trust Dr. Dan Powell. I mean, why? Why did the people in the Fort Worth ISD trust you? Why did the people in Everman ISD trust you? Why did the people in Crowley ISD trust you? I mean, evidently they liked you. They named the school after you, what did Dan Powell do as a leader to support the administrators, to go and tell your administrators to support the principals, and the principals support the teachers. What did you do as that leader?
I'm not sure that I'm anybody's model, but what I always appreciated as a teacher was when I got attention and support from the administrators that I worked for. Um, I I started out as a teacher's aide in third grade, and I I found the support of the two teachers that I worked with in that, and then as a teacher, I found the support of the staff development folks and the principal in my building. And I always remember that the people who do the work are the people in the classroom, and you've got to find a way, if you're a leader in education, to be able to support those people, to be there for them when they need you, and to bring them up when they fall. And so I think mutual support, the kind of thing Dr. Benton was talking about, uh, interacting with the teachers and teaching them on a day-to-day basis that they know that you care and you're invested in them and doing whatever's necessary to help them be successful. And that, boy, the teacher is the cog. That's the main thing in the education business is what happens between the teacher and the child in the class. And if we don't take care of that, nothing else matters.
Dr. McKinley Jackson, you grew up in a home with a mother who was a school teacher. Your father served on the city council at one time, and now you're you're one of the leaders in the Baptist Ministers Union. So you're out there in the community. People are talking to you about their children in school. They're trying to get food from you. They're trying to get money to help pay their bills. And so often when the children come to school, somebody, I think it's Dr. Powell mentioned the food desert. You know, some children come to school hungry. I remember I was subbing at a school, and a teacher left a note that if a child comes in late, uh, if they come in late, don't let them eat in the room, you know. And so when I read that, I became angry, you know, because I don't care how late a child comes in. If they are hungry, they are going to eat. I'm going to make sure they eat. And it was ridiculous and insensitive to her to leave a note. And so families are coming to you as a pastor. They're in need, you know. So how can pastors, and how do you help your parishioners and others? Because a lot of people that come to you are not necessarily members of your church. How do you help them? What do you tell them when they're trying to find their way?
Well, it's always good for a pastor to understand the community in which he serves. Uh, One of the things that I had to do when I was writing my dissertation for my doctorate, I had to do a demographical study. Uh, and there are areas in my community because we border several different communities. We sit right on the border of Polly, Eastwood, Stop Six, Meadowbrook, Rolling Hills. All these communities are within a 3 mile radius of my church. Some of these areas are below poverty, and as it's been stated, it's definitely a food desert. And so one of the things that we try to do uh, is partner with the community. That there are programs out here that address some of the needs of the people. We try to make sure that we uh, partner with the food banks and other uh, programs to help feed the kids. We even try to partner with our neighboring schools to see if it's things that we can do, like back to school um, drives where we, not only provide backpacks, but we know that some of the parents they struggle uh, to provide, and so we purchase uniforms for the kids, and then we bring in uh, a barber to cut the young men's hair and a beautician to do the young ladies' hair so that they can have some sense of pride, going to school with new clothes and with fresh hairstyles and hairdos and etc. And even during Christmas. Matter of fact, I'll just throw this plug in. This coming Friday, we call it Fall Fest. Since we're doing it from the church, we don't call it Halloween. We call it Fall Fest. We'll have in the neighborhood of about 600 kids that will be on the campus of our church for trunk or treat. We have bounce houses, mechanical bull rides, game trucks, free food. Everything is free, and it's for the community. It's for the kids to come have a great time, and the parents can feel safe because they're in a safe space with the kids. And so we got that coming up. And then for Christmas, some parents don't have it. Uh, we're going to do a toy giveaway, brand new toys. We partner with different people and we'll give away shucks, 3, 4, 5,000 toys because I understand that, that if we don't provide it, for some kids, this will be the only way that they'll be able to experience Christmas, or parents will be able to provide Christmas for their kids. And so we're always engaging in our community. I have a transitional center for women who have just come out of prison. It's on the campus of our church. All women who just need to start over, hit the reset button, And so I'm one with my community, but these are some of the things that we do, and I'm really interested with partnering in with our schools in terms of uh, as it's been stated, pooling some money together. Let's do it. I'm the right person. I don't mind rolling my sleeves. I don't mind. I love people like Miss Ben. She's been my neighbor. I respect. There's so many people on this forum that I respect, that I've been around uh, for years, and I'm just a willing vessel to do whatever we can to uplift our kids, promote our kids, our teachers, our school system. Because it does take a village, and so it takes all of us to do what we have to do.
Mm-hmm. So listen, guys. You know what? It's almost 10 o'clock, and so this is something I'm going to ask of you. So this is October the 27th, 2025. I want this panel to convene. I'm going to say 6 months from now. Is that too long? 6 months from now, or I don't know, or maybe sooner than that, because we're talking before we know a lot of specifics. And once we get more details and see what's going on and hear what's going on, I want us to reconvene and give our thoughts again, because I'm certain Dr. Powell, Dr. Sajade Miller, Dr. McKinley Jackson, Brother Stephen Johnson, and Dr. Benton, that I have the best of the best on this forum tonight. I'm certain of that. And if anyone can advise the Fort Worth Independent School District and the state of Texas of some directions they need to go, some steps they need to take, I'm certain that everybody, Dr. McKinley Jackson, and all of you have the expertise to do it. And so again, I want y'all to shake your head and say yes. And well, I'll tell you what, 4 months from now, I want this panel to reconvene, and we're going to discuss what's going on. Will y'all do that?
Yes.
Sounds good.
4 months from now, because we're talking, ahead of time, but we're gonna have time to assess some things, to look at some things. Look, we'll have time to look at some data, Dr. Benton, to see what the data shows. I was watching the news this past weekend, and they said they sent some conservators to the El Paso Independent School District. And in 18 months, they turned the El Paso School District around. And that may be true, but I find that very hard to believe that in 18 months, you can do that, and maybe they did it, but we're talking about years of issues, years of trying to pull students out of the holes, and if they can do it in 18 months, then they are geniuses, But again, guys, I know that you guys are the experts. I know you are. I know that you guys are the leaders. I hope they call you, I hope they call you. Look, I'm going to drop your name, Sajade. I'm going to drop your name, Dr. Jackson. So if anybody asks me anything, and then I'm a talker, and so I'm going to talk you up, because again, I know that you guys have been in the trenches. You did it, when nobody thought you would or could, you did. And so I'm a testament to Fort Worth ISD, proud 1984 graduate of Oscar Dean Wyatt High School.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a proud doctoral graduate of Abilene Christian University.
Yeah.
And I'm a product of Fort Worth Independent School District. You guys prepared, I know, Dr. Jackson and me for success, and I know that you can do it with other students, and did it with other students. And so again, guys, thank you so much for giving up your lives to education. Y'all use the term retired, but once an educator, always an educator. Always an educator. You never retire from education. You never retire from inspiring and encouraging and building and pouring into people. And so, again, thank you so much, Dr. Powell. Dr. Powell, give us a closing statement.
Well, I'm just very hopeful that this crisis for Fort Worth ISD leads citizens and staff and everybody to pay more attention to how we're doing and what the needs of our kids are, and getting on with the business of taking care of them.
All right. Dr. Sajade.
Stay tuned, and I think the best is yet to come. This is a moment in time. This is not the chance to try to play the game. We don't blame the parents. We don't blame the students. We don't blame the teachers. We don't blame the administrators. Now is the time to come together. Now is the time to dig your heels in and be about the work of advocating for academic excellence.
All right. Dr. McKinley Jackson.
Yes. Again, Dr. Nixon, let me thank you for putting this forum together and being on this panel with so many great people and legends. Let me just say, we're going to have to continue to fight. We're going to have to work together. And with the way this country is shifting, y'all, we're going to have to go to the polls and vote. So with all of that, I think we'll be okay.
Okay. Mr. Stephen Johnson.
Dr. Nissen, I want to say that one, I'm humbled to be a part of this panel. It's time for our community to rise up and show out.
Mm-hmm. All right. Dr. Benton.
Well, I am a Christian believer, and I think that Power, love, and discipline are those three things. And it takes a whole village to raise a child.
Amen.
And that's from A to Z. It takes
Amen.
all of us. Let's not
Amen.
point any fingers. It takes
Amen.
all of us. And I
Amen.
think putting it together with all of us,
Amen.
you know me, in class with class, it can be done.
And listen, you guys, thank you so much again for being with us tonight, sharing your expertise, your perspectives. Perspectives are important. You know, sometimes people think it's one way, but you know, in many situations, they're multi-layered. You know, we don't know what we don't know many times. But again, perspectives are paramount, and sometimes they can lead to valuable solutions. Um, so listen, guys, Facebook family, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I thank you. Thank
Yes,
you. Thank you.
super
Thank you.
excited that we were able to get these giants on in education. Hey, y'all join us next week for a Pajama Praise. We're going to go down to Houston, Texas. Brother Keith Eason from the Fort Bend Baptist Church. He's an author, recording artist, and he's going to talk about some things that he's doing and an initiative that he has put together. So y'all join us next week for Pajama Praise, 9 o'clock p.m. here on Facebook, YouTube Live. Hey, y'all be safe out there. As Dr.
God
said,
bless you. Yes.
y'all go and vote. Go and vote. Good night.
Already voted. All right.